The way that we're going to structure today's chat is that we're going to talk about the signs in the context of the elements and their modality. You have cardinal, fixed, and then mutable. If you were to say the cardinal fire sign, that only points to Aries. So let's make it a formulaic thing that we can follow the formula and go, where am I? Oh, this is the part of the map I'm on. We'll do all that for fire, and then earth, and then air, and then water. Welcome to the Feminine Alchemy Podcast, where we explore the truth about the feminine, the peaceful, the wild, and the visceral. I'm your host, J.N. Behringer, joined by my co-hosts, Julie Dean Richards and Kaylee Rose. Each week, we explore the deep mysteries of the feminine and help listeners apply them to their daily lives in a practical way. Join us to unlock the hidden wisdoms your soul has been waiting for. Hello and welcome to another episode of Feminine Alchemy. I'm Jan, your host, and we are exciting. Oh, we're always exciting. I've got Julie Dean Richards and Kaylee Rose together with us. Say hi, ladies.
Hello. Hello. I had to unmute myself because I was cracking up.
We were laughing so much. That's why I was like, we're always exciting, because we were already laughing when we hit record. Because Julie was like, oh, we just need to go. Let's hit the go button right now. Mid cackle.
We were saying too many good things. We had to catch it on recording right now.
Oh, yeah. So we're continuing our series on astrology. And this week, we're going to talk about how the signs work, which you might be like, oh, whatever, I already know this, which is fine. If you already know this, you already know it. But you might find something new in what we have to say. We're going to present it in a way that I think a lot of people don't commonly learn it very well, or like talk about it in this way. And this is actually the way that I learned, and it's the only way that sticks in my brain. So you're welcome. Also, this was not my idea, but I agreed to it and I'm very excited about it. So anyways, but we have to do our get to know you question. And so we were going to do one, which I'm going to jump for it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. What is the sign? And this is not a dig on anybody, because we are all doing our shadow work collectively and individually. But what is the sign that you struggle with when you interact with the most, or wrapping your mind around how it works and what it's about?
Do you want me to go? I think I'll just go, because this is hard, because everyone's like, I don't want to go because I don't want people to think I don't like them. And I just want to clarify that this does not mean, if you have this sign and you are listening, this doesn't mean we don't love you. We do love you, because everybody has every single sign in their chart. We all have all of these energies. But we were talking before the show, this is why we were laughing so hard, was we were talking about some signs that cause us trouble, and how lots of times that's connected to your shadow work and your south node. So wherever you got your south node, often that energy is tough for you. And this is true for me. My south node is in Gemini. And Jan was like so mad at me because she's like, you hate me. And no, just kidding. That's not how it went down. That's not how it went down at all.
No. But I did say, oh, Julie doesn't like me.
Yeah. But I actually think this is a common one. This is one that gets memes all the time. So I hate to like hate on it or say anything. But for me, I don't know what it is. It's literally not even like the aspects of Gemini that bother me, but I tend to I have noticed this about myself, that I tend to struggle with people with lots of Gemini energy unless they have some other like component that flows really well with my chart. Like, for example, Jan has a Cancer moon. I tend to love Geminis with Cancer moons, or some other energy that we just flow together. And I'm not exactly sure what it is. I think it's the unsurety that what you're saying to me is actually how you feel. I think that's the struggle, that can I trust the things that you say to me, that they are honest to you? And we'll get into this way more when we talk about Gemini, but Geminis are not trying to be talking behind your back, basically. Like that's not the goal of Gemini. It's more exploration, but that has been a struggle for me. So who else wants to go, ladies? Who wants to talk about their struggle signs?
I can go next. Save
Go
Kaylee
for
for
it.
last. My struggle sign for a long time was Pisces. So no, I don't hate you, Kaylee. But
I know.
my mom's my mom's Pisces, and I think all of us have a struggle with their mother's sign. And I struggled with the piece of Pisces that is I'm going to overgive, and then now we've got a boundaries issue, and now I've crossed a boundary. Jan's crossed a boundary that was undefined. This didn't even happen with my mom. It was just like it's part of the way the sign works. It's like I'm unconditional love, and I'm going to give and give and give. Also, I'm a human being, and it's hard. I have to have boundaries. So like boundaries are really hard for Pisces. It's just part of the whole thing. Um, and so not knowing where I stand was like again, just like what Julie was saying, it's like hard to know where I stand, whether I've like crossed a line, because I love to like know if I've crossed a line or not. I want to respect people's energies, and sometimes they just don't even know. So, but that took me a long time, and I'm okay with that one now. But my bigger one is Libra, which is where my south node is, and I hate like it's hard to say that because I have some clients who are like heavy in the Libras, and now they're probably like, "What, Jan? Really?" Like, yeah, I have a hard time. P.S. My ex is a Libra, so that's part of it too. But it's really about like I'm gonna overgive again. That theme of like I'm gonna overgive, and then you have to guess at my needs. I can't guess at anybody's needs.
Jan's like, stop giving to me. Just tell me things.
Please tell me what you want, and I will do that thing, and no more and no less. But if you tell me what you want and it's not true that you actually want that, and you want something totally different, I can't help you, and then I feel really bad.
Exactly. Kaylee, is yours going to be Cancer? Because then all of the ones we struggle with is everyone's sun sign.
With each other.
Everybody's sun sign.
No, I actually don't really have struggles with Cancer. Cancer energy. Okay. I mean, if I thought hard enough, I'm sure I have issues with every single sign because that would make a lot of sense. Like we have shadow stuff, and the chances that our shadow stuff is connected to every sign or almost every sign, pretty high that we've got something. But for me, the sign that that I most often struggle with is definitely Sagittarius. And um and as you two are talking and like the connection to your south node, I was like, why does Sagittarius bother me? Because my south node is not in Sagittarius. My south node is in Leo. But then I thought about it some more, and I was like, okay, my south node is in Leo, but it's also in the ninth house, which is associated with Sagittarius. And I have a lot of past history where I was put on a pedestal and I was admired, and Kaylee's so amazing and she's so skillful. And sometimes I loved it and sometimes I hated it, but I felt like I wasn't part of everyone else. Like I was just separate because they thought I was so amazing. And when I interact with some expressions of Sagittarius energy, they feel very much like this professor up on the pedestal, and they're so amazing and they have all the answers. And there's a part of me that's like, no, because I'm amazing too. And another part of me that's like, get off the freaking pedestal. It's lonely up there. It's freaking lonely up on that pedestal. So get down and be a real human being and show us that you actually bleed and you actually cry. And that is why I have a hard time with Sagittarius energy sometimes.
So Kaylee
Ooh,
decided.
the PMS.
That's right.
Sorry.
So Kaylee decided not to choose my sun sign. She just chose my husband's sun sign instead, so we could make the circle work the way. But I also want to point out all of those signs are mutable signs. So poor mutable signs. They have a hard time. And I think it is like that adaptability, which is such a strength, but also can give some of the struggles that we're talking about right now. So anyway, just wanted to point that out. All right, Jan, let's go.
Well, it's funny you said mutable because that's a big segue into what we're talking about today. So, the way that we're going to structure today's chat is that we're going to talk about the signs in the context of the elements and their modality, I think is what that's called. You have cardinal, fixed, and then mutable. So, if you were to say the cardinal fire sign, that only points to Aries. Aries, right? I'm sorry. I don't talk modality much at all, and so if it doesn't affect my life, I don't remember it. But anyways, so that is the way that you can reverse engineer and create mathematics and like memory around how to remember each one of these signs. Because if we're just like remembering stuff as like rote memorization, I think a lot of us are not here for that, especially those of us who are neurodivergent, which is like, in my experience, like 80% of people are interested in this kind of topic. So let's make it a formulaic thing that we can follow the formula and go, where am I? Oh, this is the part of the map I'm on. And that's how I can figure out what I'm trying to learn. So we'll do all that for fire and then earth and then air and then water, right? Because that's the order that they go in. So let's talk about fire. And well, let's first of all go into cardinal, fixed, and mutable and what that means, because we talked about the elements in the last episode. So this is like a straight up kindergarten astrology right here. I
These are the
promise
building
you.
blocks. The building
Yes.
blocks that are the foundation for understanding the signs and honestly the rest of astrology. So this is so important. So important.
Yeah, so let's jump into cardinal energy because it's the first, it's always the first, and that is the point of cardinal energy. If you think of something that is a cardinal, the cardinal is first. It comes first. It starts everything. And that is the energy of cardinal energy. It's to begin things, it's to move things, it's to go places, it's to burst out and just get the ball rolling. Now, cardinal signs, are they very good at finishing everything? No, they're not always the finishers, but they sure as heck are the like, let's go, let's begin, let's just get it started. We don't need a plan. We don't need a plan. Like just start your way on the trip. Like let's just get going and we'll figure out where we're going. So that's what I'd say about cardinal. Do either of you have thoughts about cardinal energy?
Just that they always start the season off, right? So spring starts with Aries, which is cardinal, and that's how I even remember which ones are cardinal, and then I can just like follow from there. But so if you go, okay, so then in the summer starts June, at the end of June, oh, that's Cancer, right? Like that's how you can sort of remember where you are on that. It's like it goes with the cardinal directions as well. So it's the cardinal directions, the season, initiation.
Yeah. So the cardinal signs, just to throw them out there so you can start getting them in your head. We started the process. We've got Aries, we've got Cancer, and then we have Libra and we have Capricorn. Those are the cardinal signs.
Yeah, perfect. And again, they're first, right? They begin the seasons. They are the four cardinal directions. That's why it's called that. And they are starters. They're that energy. And if someone has a lot of cardinal energy in their chart, they are most likely a doer. They do things. They start things. They get stuff going. My mom is all her big three are cardinal signs. So she has to be on the move constantly. Like she cannot. She's a double Libra and a Cancer rising. Like she's got to get going. And then that leads us to the next energy, which is really interesting because the next energy that comes up is fixed, which is like everything goes to a halt when it's a fixed sign. Fixed is going to be that they're going to stand still. They are more stubborn energies. They are that I'm going to hold on. I'm going to grit my teeth. I will, stay where I'm standing. I am the rock on which everything can be built because I do not crumble. Like I will keep with it. I will keep at it. I do. In my personal experience, I have seen that a lot of fixed energy can stop you from moving places, can get people stuck in ruts, and can keep people from like doing the doing thing because they're just holding on so tight. But fixed energy, because it's fixed, can also be great for holding on for a long time, for being very, what's the word I want to use? Loyal, and like continuing with that. What do
And
you think,
tenacious.
Kaylee?
So when I think of fixed, I don't necessarily think so much of like halting or stopping in energy. I think more of this idea of being in the thick of things, being in the middle, being in this sustaining and maintaining kind of energy, which can look very much like not going anywhere because you're keeping things, kind of keeping this momentum of the moment. And sometimes the momentum of the moment is not actual movement. And it is very much this foundational, like, okay, if this is solid, like nothing's gonna knock it over. Like that's very much a fixed energy. And yeah, so the fixed signs do have a tendency to have this reputation of being hard, like it's hard for them to change, or at least it can be stubborn, but also, yeah, they're very tenacious. They can hold on through like pretty much anything.
So the fixed signs are Taurus and Leo and Scorpio and what am I missing?
Aquarius.
Aquarius. Thank you. I was like, wait, we have to go into the next year and then I have to count the months and then count. Those last three always get me. Yeah, and so it's the middle of it, like it's the system when it's running in the middle of it, right? It's not the get up started, it's not your closing ceremonies or whatever. It is the system when it's running. And fixed mind, the fixed signs mindset tends to be, this is just how things are, this is just the way it is. Talk to anyone with heavy Taurus placements, they're just going to be like, why would you think anything else? Or Leo, I am right, like you're just eventually going to see it. So yeah, that's how fixed is. Let's go to mutable.
So mutable, of course, it's, think about the way it sounds. If something is mutable, it's changeable, it's malleable, it is adaptable. It's all those things. So mutable signs are going to have this great ability to adapt to situations, to change over time, to let themselves, wrap around other energies and absorb that energy. They are going to, like we said at the top when we talked a lot about mutable signs, right? They are ever changing. Oftentimes, they don't always show you all their cards at once because they're always adapting and changing all the time. And I will say, this is just something I have observed in reading a lot of charts is when it comes to people's big three, I do find that the mutable sign that they have, say they have like two cardinals and a mutable sign, that mutable energy does tend to like transform or wrap around the cardinal energy, or the fixed energy. I find that tends to happen, and they'll tend to be act more like someone who has a lot of cardinal signs if they have that mutable wrapping around the other energies. But yeah, mutable is changing and adapting.
Mutable signs are also in a lot of ways about releasing, about letting stuff go. That's a part of adapting, that's a part of changing. And so there's also endings that then lead to the new beginnings of the next cardinal phase, if we're looking at this as a phasic experience. So there can be almost a grief that can come in with mutable energies because there is that letting go and that ending, but also there can be a little bit of an excitement as well, like, ooh, new things are coming. um Anybody want to add anything else?
Yeah, so the mutable signs, like we talked about, are Sagittarius. Now I have to go all the way around to the beginning of the year again. Sagittarius, and then I can do this: Pisces, Gemini, and wait, who is that? Virgo. Virgo. I always forget Virgo is in the summer. Virgo just to me feels like a fall thing to do, and it is the summer. It is a summer sign, but it's the end. It's the end of the summer, so it's wrapping things up. It's literally everything we just talked about. It's just wild to me. So, the way that, so if you think about the three in total, Justin Fire, I think, demonstrates it really well. Aries cardinal fire is like spark and like building that, like go. Leo is more like the roaring fire. And Sagittarius is like the coals. Like, what can I do with this fire? I can cook something on it. I can do something extra. And if you think about that in those terms for every type of element, then you can start to see, okay, this is how that might make sense, right? Like in an earth context. Think about that, those different things. One of the best things I got for Virgo was, okay, we've done all these things with earth and we're growing things and now we're sorting, and Virgo is like the sorting. Like that was like so great. Yeah. So that's kind of the modalities. Let's go and just talk about every sign in its element. Yeah.
Yeah. So do we want to start with fire and just do the 3 fires first? Okay.
Yeah.
Jan did a great job starting that. So let's start by talking with Aries, because Aries always has to start everything because Aries is the beginning of the zodiac. Yeah, I love Aries. My husband has an Aries moon. I am not like kicking fire around at all. I love it. I love every element. And I think it's good that we started with the elements because now you can see how they're applied, right? So we talked about fire, burning, drive, starting, creativity. It needs more. So how does that appear in Aries in a cardinal sign that has to start everything off? Well, it's the first, it's the leader. Aries has this energy of, like exactly what I said, let's just do it. Like we don't need to think before we act, like we just need to act. And it does want to, fire, because it is burning, wants to be seen and is meant to be seen. And so Aries does have that tendency. The way it likes to be seen is for its like physicality, its leadership abilities, its like ability to go and to do and to start things. But Aries is also tied to the head. So it's very much tied to the self and the body. And so who am I looking at? I'm looking out for number 1, me. And I do find that Aries tend to enjoy like physical stuff, like they're interested in like hiking or nutrition or some kind of like physical fitness or like a physical thing or stuff that revolves around them particularly. What are y'all's thoughts about Aries?
Oh, well, I was just thinking about how Aries is a very pioneering energy. If you think about a fire and sparks coming off of it, and the sparks go catch something else on fire, like it's going to go explore where other people have not yet explored. For the pure, like instinctual joy of it, it's a very instinctive energy. There's not a lot of thought behind it. It's just going to go do the thing because it feels like the thing to do. And with that, there's a freshness and sometimes a naivety that can come along with Aries energy, where it's just so fresh and so like beginner's mind, like it's a blank page. It's not jaded at all. At least in its highest expression, there is no jaded anything in Aries energy.
So beautifully said. Yeah, I always think of it as the ready, fire, aim. Just like shoot from the hip. Don't overthink it. Aries is not a thinker. Aries isn't thinking about anybody but themselves. Also, it's not that that's a selfish thing. It just doesn't occur to them that anyone else is involved or that they need to start thinking about other priorities. It's funny. My husband is also Aries moon, and I just find people with Aries moon to be very sarcastic. Very
Yes. Oh,
sarcastic.
100%. And they always, if you have a lot of Aries, 2 things. One is they want to be funny. They have this thing about like, they're so funny. I'm so funny. Like often you'll find that comedians have a lot of fire, and particularly Aries fire, that I don't know what it is. They just like, maybe it's that beginner's mind or whatever, but they're like, everyone will think what I say is interesting and laugh at my jokes, And the other thing is, people with lots of Aries in their chart always think that they're down to earth. They always think that they're practical. They do. They always think they're like so practical. They're so down. Even if they're not, they could totally not be, but they think that they are. In their brains, they are. So I have definitely noticed that. And I did want to point out drive. Very driven, very much wanting to, like, look out for number one, get to the top, and do what they love. So we better move on, though, because we could talk about this sign forever. But
champions of hustle culture.
they are. Oh my gosh, they totally are champions of hustle culture. They totally are. They do have to try everything before they figure it out. I think they have to have physical experiences. Anyway, Leo. Let's talk about Leo. Shiny, shiny Leo. Kaylee Rose, you want to talk about shiny, shiny Leo?
Sure. So with Leo energy, there's very much this, I got to show up and shine. I have to be seen. And that can be incredibly triggering for a lot of people. And so Leos can kind of get this like bad rap as like, they're so self-centered and they always have to be the center of attention. But something about Leo energy that seems a little more subtle and not as easily noticed is that Leo energy isn't so much like, oh, look at me, I'm so amazing. It's more like, I am being of service to you by showing up and shining. So it's not just about me, it's about me sharing my joy with you. And that's something that I just want to like shout from the rooftops, because so often people are like, oh, Leo, blah. And it's not blah. It's very like, it's a very creative, exuberant energy. And they just want you to be exuberant and happy too.
Yeah, my sister is a Leo, strong Leo, and she's always like, I want the best for everyone. I want everyone to have a great time, and I totally just sounded exactly like our voices are very similar, because she has her Mercury in Cancer as well, and so, but she will, she wants everyone to have a good time and to live their best life, and because Leo is a fixed sign in the way that it does this and a fire sign, part of that is Leos, like we have talked about many times, they always feel like they are the discerning ones, like that they have a good grasp on what is right, what is wrong. Their way is the right way. The things they see are the way they see things is the right way to see it. And and that they are very good at like, ooh, I don't like that, or like, yes, I like it. And also at the same time, as Leo is like the open-hearted leader, Leos always think they're everything. They like always are like, oh, I have this and I have this and I have this and I can relate to all these things. So like when they take personality tests, or like when they meet lots of people, or like when someone's talking about their talents or whatever, I find that Leo often is like, oh, I do that too. I like that too. I'm that way too. And I think it's like that performer energy just like loves to like all the things. What do you think, Jan?
I end up just automatically attracting a lot of Leos in my life. I don't know what it is. I do think that the Gemini Leo thing it's because it's like, it's not your neighbor, it's your neighbor's neighbor, right? Like there's something about skipping a sign that you can kind of interact with a lot of those. But yeah, Leo's very performer in the spotlight, but like also playful, very playful.
Mhm.
Leo rules things like pleasure and joy and fun. And with that comes some vulnerability. So if you're someone who's like, yeah, I have a Leo sun, but I don't really identify with it, I feel more like a Virgo because maybe I'm on the cusp, you probably are afraid of vulnerability and being vulnerable in that space. That is a big piece of Leo, because if it doesn't mean anything, like, who cares if you're in the spotlight? But it's got to mean something for it to actually like be part of that fire, be part of that fire. There's something else. Yeah, Julie said it. Leos are always right. We don't know it yet. That's how they play the game. But that kind of confidence is really cool, right? Like a lot of people struggle with that kind of confidence. So having the confidence of a Leo is in the power, like in the high side of Leo is really good. I think that's all I get.
I'm going to add something really quick that's really funny that I've noticed about people who have Leo rising. Not always, but very, very often. They tend to be pretty attractive. conventionally attractive, but they tend to have either big hair or just very distinctive hair. It's not always curly, but it's often curly, and it's like
Yes.
boom. And so like there've been people who've been like, "Oh, you must be a Leo rising." I'm like, "No. It's my south node, which might be contributing in some way that I don't fully understand." But when you meet somebody who is a Leo rising, there's something about them that like it's like they glisten, they glow, and their hair is usually amazing.
Yeah, Kaylee's like, how could I be a Leo rising? Look at these boobs over here.
Yeah.
Okay, look at them. Obviously, Scorpio rising. I was gonna say two of my babies are Leo risings, and one, my oldest has a giant. They both have giant heads. Okay, and I think that's pretty common. And they were both in the 100th percentile for their head size when they were born. Still have giant heads. My daughter does have curly hair, but my son has thick, luscious hair, and they're both like, so all my kids are so cute. I'm Of course they are, obviously, but they are but they are like, so everyone's always like, oh my goodness, your kids are so cute about them. And this is the other thing I will say about Leo risings. Okay, I'm really sorry, I'm just gonna say it. Man, they're loud. They're so loud. They cannot help it. Like that sparkly shiny, like, gosh, they've got to be loud and like show you and jabber and like be like, yeah. Anyway, so there you go. Sorry, Leos. We love you. So I like love it so much. I also attract a lot of Leos and I love them so much. Oh, the one thing I do want to say, and I think this goes for fire in general, but particularly Leo, and particularly Leo in a moon placement, I do find that Leo is soft and tender. Big talk, big, like fire in general can be big talk and can be cutting and can do all those kinds of things, but actually quite tender on the inside, and like and really sensitive when you say things to like dampen their shine, that like throw them off their game or whatever. Like it really does get to them.
All that vulnerability, man. All that vulnerability. Let's keep going because we could talk forever and we have 10 more signs to go. So let's talk about Sagittarius. What does Sagittarius mean to you?
Oh baby, Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the professor for a reason. I will say that because Sagittarius is this exploration energy. So we take fire, we put it on a torch, and we lead the way in that way. Like we want to show everybody and explore where we have gone, where we want to light every corner, right? Like Sagittarius is like, I'm going to take my torch and like go into the cave and explore it and find out what it is. And then I'm going to teach you everything that I found in these caves and these far off places. It's very, because it's associated with the ninth house, often Sagittarius has this, that's where the like the professor vibes come from, this higher learning, interest in higher learning, interest in being seen for your mind and for like your ability to like think and be smart and like know all the stuff, and kind of have that more. Usually these, lots of times Sagittarius is drawn to writing, like either being a writer or a speaker or a teacher or something where they get to Leo is like more, I prefer to be on the stage, where Sagittarius is like, I prefer to be in front of the classroom with all my colleagues like applauding me to show me what I've done. But it is definitely the seeker energy. I've got a ton, my baby is a Sagittarius and my husband's a Sagittarius, so I really love this energy. But because of that professorness, it is like, listen, I'm going to tell you what's up because I've got more experience than you, bucko. So let me just tell you what my experience says. So I would say that about Sag.
I've always seen Sagittarius as having a little bit of a stick up their butts. No offense to anyone who's a Sagittarius. They're just like, oh, I know everything. Or they just like are nowhere because they're traveling all the time. They just want to go places. Like, how do you keep track of everywhere you have to be? Because they're in Iceland and then they're in Hong Kong, and then you're like, and my Gemini of like, I went to the grocery store and that was my travel, like, very different. But yeah, it's the Voyager, the scholar, and the kind of priest in a sense. Those are the three big archetypes of Sagittarius, because again, we are lighting the corners, we're finding the minutia, right? With Sagittarius being opposite Gemini, it's like you've got the kindergarten teachers, and we'll talk about that more with Gemini, but then on the other end, it's the more granular, like more refined bits of information that we're trying to find. And that's like when you go to college and you go, man, they lied to me when I was in grade school, because it's sort of like what they told me, but it's actually this, and this is even more. That's that Sagittarius energy of like, we're refining things, we're making things even more of a granular, instead of the play school version that you had to learn to even like wrap your head around the concepts.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a daughter who has a Sagittarius sun, and I've observed this in her, and I've observed this in a lot of other Sagittarius, like people with lots of Sagittarius energy. And it's this, they just want to have fun. Like, they don't want to clean the house. They want to go do what they want to do. They want to have fun. They don't want to deal with the mundane stuff, the day-to-day stuff that you just have to do. They're like, why can't someone else do it? Why do I have to do it? And they want to go read, and they want to go explore, and they want to go do whatever they find fun or fascinating or enlightening. You hear all the time that Sagittarius energy is very athletic, but I haven't necessarily observed that. Have either of you? Because I've heard that a lot, that they're very athletic and into competition.
It's hard to say because like my husband is very athletic, or like he was the MVP in high school for his like football team and played basketball and stuff like that. But that's also his Aries moon, I think, playing into that as well. But I would say fire in general, right, does have the because I would say like what I do see in Sagittarius is they do tend to excel in sports that travel. So like if you got to run like cross country or doing farther things, and when it comes to like medical astrology, when we talk about exercise for Sagittarius, it's always like going far distance, like hiking and rucking and running cross country. So they do tend to excel in those kinds of sports. But I don't know about like a general I don't know. Fire in general can be good at sports, I guess, but it's also about shining for them, I think, is the deal. Hey friends, it's Julie. I'm just popping in here real quick to tell you about a very special invitation we have for you. If you have been feeling deeply called to learn more about your feminine identity, or to see what feminine power really is, or you're just loving the podcast, then Kaylee and I would love to invite you to join our community, Feminine Alchemist. Inside, we host live monthly women's circles, challenges, and Wheel of the Year celebrations. They are seriously so much fun. We have monthly workshops where we bring in experts to teach on anything from menstruation to mythology. You'll also get access to our library of courses about astrology, intuition techniques, sacred embodiment, and cyclical living. And most importantly, you'll be able to connect with women who are like-hearted and walking the same path as you. So if this sounds exciting to you, join today by clicking the link in the show notes or going to femininealchemist.com. That's alchemist spelled MYST. Okay, back to the episode.
All right, let's talk about Earth. A cardinal, fixed, mutable Earth. And the cardinal Earth is, I love when it starts the season off and it starts the year off, and I go, okay, it makes sense. And then we go to Earth and it's like, wait a minute, we have to skip all the way to the end. So we're going to jump around the seasons, and we're going to start with Capricorn.
Sure. Kaylee has a Capricorn stellium. I have a Capricorn stellium as well. That's where my moon is. Okay, Capricorn, I'll just get it out there. We can be annoying sometimes, but it's very much about it's very much this energy of we want to do stuff, we want to make stuff happen, but it's also in that very earthy way. So it's more a lot of times Capricorn gets the rap of the businessman. It's like the quintessential business woman or businessman of being like, okay, let's get it into a spreadsheet, let's start it going, like how can we progress and make this happen, how can we add longevity but in a way that's movement oriented, because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and so it's very longevity focused on like what will things look like in the future, how will that happen over time. And so it does tend to be earth in general, like we talked about, tends to have more of a stubborn slant to it, because it's literally the earth, it is not as movement oriented. And so Capricorn is very focused on its reputation, because it is the guardian of the 10th house, and because that Saturn, that longevity piece, is like, what will people think about me years and years from now, what will I be seen as. And so it does have this tendency to want to appear well in people's in the general public's eye, and in people it cares about's eye. So it does tend to have that kind of, I want to organize things and I don't want to look bad. Like that's why it's like very businessman oriented, and it really wants to be respected. I think like respect is the currency for Capricorn. Respect me, and it's that same kind of like respect me for my mind. Like this is it wants to learn and to research, but it's all the learning and the research is always geared toward, like Sagittarius could learn for learning's sake, and Gemini could learn for learning's sake, but Capricorn doesn't learn for learning's sake. It learns to build something. So it's like, how is this information useful to me? And it's about usefulness and pragmatism. And can I use those to build and build and build and build? So I will stop talking about it and hear what you have to say.
So there are a few words that always come to mind for me when I think about Capricorn. And one of those is integrity. Like, is it in integrity? Is it integrous? Like, is it like when it's a physical thing, is it going to hold up? Is everything in place the way it needs to be? And from a more, I guess, psychological place, it's like, okay, am I in alignment? Am I in integrity? And that's very crucial for Capricorn energy. And when it's out of integrity, that's when Capricorn gets really dark, and really just hard to interact with, and to be in. But then also stewardship. Capricorn wants to be responsible for something. There's something that Capricorn wants to build, and Capricorn wants it to last. So just like Julie was saying, that longevity piece, like we're not going to build something that's like low quality. And I'm not just talking physical things, but even like ideas or relationships. Like it's going to be the best of the best. It's going to be high quality and it's going to last forever. Like that's kind of the mindset, I guess you could say, that goes along with Capricorn energy.
How do you guys see the cardinal energy coming into play for Capricorn?
I think it's the doing piece, right? Like Capricorn's like, let's start, let's get it going. Let's start building this sucker. Like I want to start, digging this out and get it going. I mean, it's like the same dumb thing that I do behind the scenes with the podcast, where I'm always the one who's like, we need to have a business meeting and we need to do these things and we need to update the thing. Like it's that, like, let's get our building built and started, I think.
Yeah, Capricorn's about laying the foundation. Like, let's get things in place in the best way possible so what comes after is stable and sturdy.
I love that. I love that. I do. I have one thing, maybe two in Capricorn, and it's Aries. Like, which is a good thing, good placement for Aries, but it's not a great way to interact with Capricorn in itself, right?
It's Mars. It's Mars.
Mars. It's Mars. I don't know
Which Mars
why.
and
That
Aries
is the
are
one
totally
planet.
connected.
They are literally the same thing in my mind. It's just another word for the same thing. I did that one other time every day. So there's that.
But I think it's worth saying though, Jan, that Mars is exalted in Capricorn, right?
Yeah.
So it is the energy of you that's like when you start going, like, let's just get it done. And it is that, like, so for people who don't know this about Jan, like, she is a numbers whiz. She is someone who's like taken care and worked in these very businessy environments. And that's like very much your Mars and Capricorn, like, let's go, let's get it done, let's do it in a logical, practical way, let's make it pragmatic. So yeah.
Yes. It's I've heard it called Energizer Bunny energy. You just keep, because the Mars, I almost did it again. The Mars does the initiating, and the Capricorn is also, they're just like one upping each other for all eternity. Um, so my experience with Capricorn is just like super stubborn. But again, Earth to me is just like super stubborn, and I have to like take that into consideration, that it's time to get grounded if I'm thinking that, right? Like, let's get to the part where it's grounding. Um, one of the things that I think is interesting about Capricorn, and we didn't talk about masculine and feminine when we talked about the um, elements, but earth and water are feminine. And so most people think of Capricorn as a businessman and like a dude, as a masculine energy. And it's actually not, it's actually a feminine energy. And bringing that piece in, as always, kind of like reminding myself that femininity is a builder in itself, right? Like, that's the Capricorn feminine build. And I don't think we give enough credit to the feminine for Capricorn. That's all I have to say about that. You guys did such a good job.
Well, it's the receiving, right? Like we talked about this in our money episode, but the energy of money is feminine, right? And like, what is Capricorn? Think about the earth. And when we talked about earth in general, right? Where's our treasure? Well, the treasure's in the earth, right? The minerals and the stones and the precious things, they're all in the earth. And so I think, earth that's the expression of the feminine. That's part of that earth, is receiving all the riches and the jewels, and like I receive and I build off that. And then that's exactly what the feminine does. She receives something and she makes something more of it. And that's like the very earth energy, which is perfect segue into Taurus,
Yes.
which is the fixed sign. So let's talk, which Taurus season is coming up. We're in Aries season right now, but Taurus season is coming up. So let's talk Taurus, baby.
Yeah. Taurus is one of those ones where even people who don't believe in astrology go, oh yeah, I align with that. When they are Taurus, they're like, oh, okay, yes, this is just how life is. No, not everyone thinks that way. But I think that a lot of how the world, um, what's the word, incentivizes us is to think of it in a Taurus and a Capricorn way and a Virgo way, right? Like, you're not good enough unless you're Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo styled, right? Um, but for me, Taurus is like super stubborn. Again, it's that fixed earth is like stubbornness. And so I have a really dear friend who's a Taurus, and it's hard for him to see a different point of view. And then but he has some traits that allow him to see other points of view eventually. And it's been a breath of inspiration for me, because as a not earth person, because having someone with Taurus energy going, this is how the world is. Okay, new iteration, this is now how the world is. New iteration, this is now how the world is. And it's just beautiful. But super pragmatic, like super budgeter, will always buy something only on sale, knows exactly what he needs every time, like can define the need and then go obtain the thing that meets the need, instead of this like, oh, maybe this thing, it's on sale, would be helpful for me in some situation I don't know about yet, right? But Taurus doesn't do that. Taurus is very practical, very like, what's in front of me? Okay, how do I deal with what's in front of me? How do I plan for what's in front of me? Like, they're going to be the 5-year plan people, and then they're going to actually do it in 5 years because they exactly know how time works.
But also comfort and luxury. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
was
So
just
yeah,
gonna
go
say
ahead.
what you were saying. We're saying basically the same thing. I was going to say that Taurus is very pleasure and comfort oriented. And so then in comes what Julie was saying of the luxury and like it's got to feel good. They're very, Taurus energy is very sense based, it's very sensual. It's very, does it smell good? Does it look good? Does it sound good? Does it taste good? It better or I'm done.
Yeah, I was gonna say the exact same thing. Yes, comfort and pragmatic. Yes, and I think Taurus does this too. Like, what is pragmatic to a Taurus, like might be luxury to some of us. Like, might be like a comfort to some of us sometimes. Like my sister, same sister, which is so funny. She's a Leo with a Taurus moon, right? But at home, right, everything, like even if it's the bargain stuff, like they can find the bargain. She is with her budget, right? Like she does have her budget and she's the one who like looks at the budget and does the things with her money. But it's also like she's going to budget it so she can get the softest, cushiest pillow, right? She already knows how she's going to use it. She's like, oh, look, I'm going to buy this like sauna thing and it's like going to be so great. But I guess what? It's the travel one. So it's like not as expensive, but it's like luxury into my home, you know, and I'm going to use it. Does she end up using it? Sometimes not. But but like it's that like I can use these lovely like sensuous things and I will like have that. And also, especially, we all know a double Taurus. All of us in our lives have a double Taurus, know a double Taurus. Especially when you get that double Taurus energy too, it can be very much like if it's out of my comfort, like if it doesn't comfort me, or like if it's anything that makes me uncomfortable, then like we're not doing it. We're not gonna go there because it's out of my comfort zone and it's out of me. Barring you have some kind of like moon that's fiery or whatever, or airy, it's often gonna be like, oh, if I can't be comfortable and go, then I'm not gonna do that.
Yes, I have. Both my daughters have Taurus moons. They just love beautiful things. I forgot about that part. Say it out loud. Of course. Um, Beautiful. Let's talk about Virgo. Let's talk about Virgo. I love me a Virgo. Not because I love the way, like, it's because I have very little earth and it's a mutable sign. I find that Virgo season, I can finally get my life in order and make things make sense. And that lasts me until about Thanksgiving. And then everything blows up and I'm back to the other seasons. But Virgos are the nurse, right, of the zodiac. But Virgo is like the virgin. And I think it's just, I'm sorry, this is hilarious to me that like 1,500 different asteroids and planets rule Virgo and it's the virgin. Like, what are we implying here? What are we implying? What is this? But Virgo is very detail oriented, like the little tiny minutia of details, all of the little ducks in a row, and asking all of the little questions that, and then bringing them into reality and going, okay, this lines up with this lines up with that. Auditing is like so Virgo, right? Any kind of audit. What about you guys?
Do you want to say the things, Kaylee? Kaylee, you say the things.
Okay. So Virgo is a very purifying energy, which can come across as perfectionistic or as anal, like it has to be this way. But in reality, purification is about like, okay, let's clear out what's not serving us so that we can come to almost like a higher version, a more aligned version of ourselves. And Virgo, like being that nurse, sometimes Virgo energy can come across as like not very empathetic. Not always, but definitely sometimes. But the thing is, it's like, okay, we have to clean the wound or it won't heal properly. So I'm going to do what I have to do to clean the wound. It doesn't mean I don't care about you and what you're experiencing. It means that if I get too wrapped up in your emotional experience, I won't be able to do the job I need to do, which is cleaning out this wound so you can heal. And that, I think, is what's going on in Virgo energy. Like, if Virgo energy has a brain, like in its brain all the time is this idea of like, okay, what needs to be done for the highest good? What needs to be purified? What needs to be purged? And like, I'll do my best to be kind about it, but I can't get too wrapped up in the emotion because the thing just has to be done.
Yeah, I think that's a great example, and that's why Virgo can be seen as like nitpicky. And I also was gonna say sometimes Virgos, they have a mouth on them. And what I mean by that is they will just they will just say things like they don't mean to, but like be rude about it. But like they'll be talking about someone that are like, if they could just stupid get their life together, like they could figure it out, and they'll just like say a thing and they're just saying the problem. No one wants to say, no one else will say it, but they'll just say it, right? And maybe not to the person's face, which is like common for a mutable sign, but just other people, they will say those things. And I would like to display the difference between this and Taurus energy, because which I think displays the difference between a mutable energy and a fixed energy, which is Taurus energy is very much like, let's sit on the couch and eat ice cream together and also have our pretty things everywhere. With men, I do find they like to have like the newest gadgets or like the newest tech or like the nicest stuff or whatever. But with with Virgo, right? Like that's like the fixed energy. Like, let's be in this wonderful place and we serve people by having like beautiful things and staying comfortable, right? It's a fixed kind of attitude. Whereas the mutable attitude, the Virgo attitude is this over serving. Let me go serve, like if there's a meal train, like the Virgo is on the meal train already and she has 10 other things she's already got to do. She's going to give this person this thing and then she's going to give this thing and she's got to do it. And like no one else is going to do it. So she has to do it because she's the one to do all the things, right? Like that is the difference, because the mutable energy is wrapping itself around everybody. It's bringing everybody together. It's adapting to everybody's needs. And so, I would say Virgos are a little notorious for like over serving or like being the ones like, I'm going to be on the head of the council and like be in the PTA meeting and do the thing. And then I'm going to go over here and sew this person a blanket. And then I'm going to go over here and like, I still have 5 things to do. And I'm the one who's got to do it because no one else will do it. So anyway.
If I were good enough as a person, I would be a Virgo. It feels like that sometimes, right? Like, oh, if you're good enough, you'll be that person. And that is like picturesque. Virgo, yes. But we can't all be earth signs or we would have nothing new.
Yeah, well, and I find that Virgos often they have a journey to find themselves. And I think that's true of all mutable signs. All mutable signs have this journey to find themselves. I find that Virgos tend to get so wrapped up in the service element of like trying to be good enough because they're purifying so much. They're trying to be good enough that they have to go on this journey of like finding who they are beneath the like, am I good enough deal. So that's what I would say. I guess we better speed up though. We better go.
We're halfway through.
We're halfway
got
through.
Got a lot of ground to cover in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, let's go air, baby. JN, you're our expert. Let's go air.
I apparently am. It's true. All right. So air signs are Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. And I was trying to say them in the right order. And so it's funny though. I said that the sign I struggle the most with is Libra, and it's an air sign. I have a lot of air, but the reason that Libra is a struggle for me is because Libra is all about people pleasing, right? It's opposite on the wheel from Aries. Aries is I'm here, I'm good, it's me. And Libra is the exact opposite of that. It's what is up with you? What is going on with this? Is there fairness involved, right? That's why it's the scales. Is there fairness and justice involved? Is there something involved here that is like I'm gonna make it be fair by focusing on everybody else but me and their happiness, and fairness needs to be everywhere else. I don't have to worry about fairness because I'm fine. I can handle it. But everyone else, it needs to be fair for everybody else, and like creating that relationship, being in that relationship. focusing on how important relationship is. One-to-one relationship is an important thing for Libra. And just like with Taurus, it's also about beauty because they're both ruled by Venus. So having beautiful things and beautiful people and like really genuinely caring about other people so much that like that's the other half of that pleasure aspect of Venus, is like the conversation, the experience with others, not just the experience in and of the itself, where like I'm eating ice cream on the couch and it's got velvet, but also who am I eating ice cream on the couch with? And what is our connection like? Which is apparently too touchy-feely for me.
So Libra in its like when Libra is in power, it's about correcting relationship imbalances no matter what that takes. So Libra out of power is going to brush stuff under the rug and pretend stuff is fine to create a pseudo peace and a pseudo balance. But empowered Libra is like, no, we have a problem here and we're going to address it because I care about relational ideas. Libra is all about relational ideas and how we interact with other people, mostly in a one-on-one capacity. And that's why Libra is sometimes known as the diplomat, because there is this sense of like, okay, how are we going to negotiate me being a sovereign being and you being a sovereign being? How do we interact with each other in a way that we honor both of us, but also we're together an entity? So how do we wrap our brains around all of that? And that's what Libra is all about, is finding that balance between like you and me and we.
And I do want to point out too that Libras can be very justicey. They can be very much like that's unfair and like I'm going to make it fair, and like they can turn the side of like being the justice person, because I do know people who will just use my family all over the place, but like my mother, she's a double Libra, but people often think she is a Virgo. One, she's got Hygeia next to her sun, so like that's a whole other story, but two, it's really, she can get very justice oriented and in this way of like this is the right thing to do, and so it's the right thing to do, like this is the just way to do it, this is the fair, so like it just is like we just have to do it that way. um and but I also want to point out, as an air sign, Libra is also quite analytical, right? It's always assessing and reassessing and thinking and trying to make calculations of how to balance things out and where are these things going, and thinking new logic and new things like that. And I would also say, because it's an air sign, it is very relationally focused, but I think it's different. And I think this is maybe where the struggle is, Jan, in some ways, besides it being your south node, in some ways is air struggles with depth many times, because where is the least air? Well, it's like down in the bottom of the ocean. There's not very much, it's not plentiful there. And so although Libra is relationship focused, it can struggle with the depth piece and the intimacy piece of relationships, as can most air signs. And so I think, Jane, your Cancer moon is like, where's the depth piece, that like that depth piece, like putting it together, because you have a really lovely mind and heart chart, right? It's mirror mind and your heart, but not everybody has that. The other thing I want to say about Libra is Libra rising is very hostess with the mostest, very much like, come in, I'll give you all the stuff, I will make this like balanced and give you all the trays and all the lovely things. Very hosty.
I'm laughing because my husband is a Libra rising. And yes, hosting his barbecues, it's a favorite thing to do.
That sounds
Well,
like
it's
fun.
And it's so Lige also to be Kaylee's husband's name is Lige. It's so Lige also to be like, is this a fair arrangement? And like, let's make you welcome. Let's make everyone feel so welcome in here and like do the things for you. So yeah, totally fits.
All right, let's talk about Aquarius. Me? You want me to go first? Well, Aquarius rising usually looks like an alien, so that's why I have a high forehead and high cheekbones. Just so you know. That's part of it. That and all the Polish. So Aquarius is about service. Okay, so if we're going with the fixed air concept, air is mental, relational, communication, technological, and fixed is like we'll take all that and make it everybody, right? And so we're talking about technology that serves everyone. We're talking about um, weird stuff that you wouldn't even think of. Like, we're just gonna make it really big and all over the place. So that's why we're grabbing stuff from other timelines and we're bringing it into this timeline. We're grabbing stuff from the future. We're doing the weirdest stuff, because it all comes back to how do we best serve the population by being weird and by bringing in new ideas. Hence why I look like an alien. So we got that going for us.
I love that so much. Aquarius is definitely about innovation, and that goes along with everything you just said, Jan, because it's very like, okay, what's going to serve humanity? What's going on with our social ideas and concepts, and can we change things up for the better? There's very much a like fight for the underdog energy that can come in. Especially, I know a few like Aquarius sons who like that's their thing. They're gonna fight for the underdog no matter what. And like the sun is actually kind of uncomfortable in Aquarius. It doesn't necessarily love being there. So people who have an Aquarius sun, sometimes they show up as major rebels. Like they're just gonna break down everything. But Aquarius, the sign itself is not necessarily rebellious. It's just let's innovate, let's do new things.
Yeah, I often think about Aquarius as like I did it before it was cool.
Yes.
You know, like I did it before it was cool, and I start this trendsetter energy that it can have, that it has this futuristic ability to like see what will be helpful in the future. And I will say to Jan's point about the rising and alienistic looks, I don't think you look like an alien. I would say you look witchy more than anything else, which is quite a compliment in my opinion. But I do find that Aquarius risings often come off quirky. They do come off quirky to people, and they do tend to have higher foreheads. That is actually a common trait, and it's the knowledge base, right? It's and that's not a bad thing. It's a lot of this. To be innovative, you've got to be thinking. Again, it goes back to this air of like thinking, analyzing, learning, and the Aquarius as the water bearer, as like bringing that knowledge to other people, right? Helping the tribe by bringing all of that in. And you've got to be able to think to be able to do that. Now, where the stubbornness or like the fixed energy also tends to come in with Aquarius it can be very my way or the highway, and not to the extent, not in the same way as like a Taurus energy would be. Like, I'm just going to sit here and be stubborn and like be the rock that you cannot move. More so, this energy of like, I just do things differently and you can't make me do them the way that you're going to do them, because I can see the greater good of things, right? Like I know what's on the horizon. And so it's very much I do things my own way, and I find that Aquarius is they tend to thrive when they are let to do their own way. They are let to be able, and I try to do that. My son's an Aquarius rising, and he trying to help him be okay. I will also say this: Aquarius risings are not always the best listeners in the context of the parent child relationship because they do like to do things their own way. And so of course he was my runner. He was like I'm not going to stop when you say stop, but I've learned now, if I let him do his own way and bring his innovations to life, like he cooks by himself. Like yesterday he cut and made a whole salad and like dressed everything and cooked an egg, and he's 5, for himself, because he learned how to do that. But you got that's the thing about Aquarius and the fixed energy, is you just have to let it roll the way it wants to roll.
I'm loving this. This is so fun. All right, let's move forward into Gemini, which we all know Julie has a real problem with. So why don't you get started?
Let me start with this sign that I detest. No, I'm just kidding. I don't detest it. I actually have a lot more compassion. I've worked a lot with Gemini to have a lot like a lot of compassion and pieces. So Gemini, right? The chattiest. I do find. I do think that Gemini is probably the chattiest of the air signs of them. They all chat. They all love to chat and socialize, but Gemini loves that. So Gemini is that mutable sign, which means it can see both sides of things, two sides of the coin. It's the twins, right? So that's why it gets this reputation for being two-faced or being one way to your face, one way behind your back. Not because again, I want to reiterate this, like none of the air signs, all air signs have this tendency that lots of times they will not tell you exactly what they're saying on their face, on its face, right? Like they're not going to just like straight out like a Libra is not going to be like you're the worst all the time. Like it will be, bouncy and nice. But the reason that they do this, right? The reason they don't tell it to you straight is because of that same balance point of they want to explore. They're the opposite of Gemini, and they're exploring both sides of the things. They can see both sides of the things, and so what they're telling you when they're telling you it is true, and also what they're telling the other person behind your back or like when they're with someone else is also true. It's two sides of the same coin, and it's both true, and they're just exploring that and chatting about it and wanting to talk. I find in a moon position Gemini, and I have a third house moon, so I jive with this a lot. Is that Gemini really needs to talk out its thoughts and emotions? It needs that community aspect, and that is very Gemini-ish. It's bringing together that community and getting us all together that we can buzz and talk and learn, and but learn in a way that's more we can focus on it here and now. We can simplify it down, we can read it down, and so that's what I would say about Gemini energy. What do you think, Kaylee?
Gemini energy can also be like the trickster. It can be very witty and fun and love to play with puns or just words. Not everybody with strong Gemini energy loves puns, but I have noticed that that can happen. And the trickster, because that duality element that I can see both sides. There can be this like playfulness that's like, I don't know, where it's like they're playing a trick on you, but you know they are. Like they're so obvious about it. Like, but it's funny because they're cracking, like they think they're hysterical. Like that's totally something that can happen with strong Gemini energy. Um, but that same trickster energy can also be kind of devious and kind of sneaky. So that kind of plays into that as well, that is with the like two-facedness. But because of that energy as well, Gemini energy can talk to anybody, can establish at least a little bit of a relationship with anyone. And that person can be from any background. And Gemini is just like, hey, let's chat. Let's talk about it. Let's explore together, which is actually super refreshing. This idea that like everybody's on a level playing field with Gemini energy. You're just all interesting people and I want to talk is kind of the impression that I get from Gemini energy.
I love it. It's true. It's true. Like I don't have a lot of except for very few instances, I don't have a lot of like pedestalizing of people when I'm talking to them. And I just talk to them like, no, you bleed and cry too, right? Like that's like um a Gemini energy in my mind has always been it's like having two eyes. Like how what happens when you have two eyes? You see a flat plane on one side and a flat plane on the other. The magic happens when you can put them together, the two images together, and you're looking into a third dimension. So, and that's true with all the air signs. That's why a lot of them have duality. Like two of the three air signs are literally like duality scales, right? Libra's the scales, and then you've got Gemini, but they're always looking at things from multiple perspectives, and they're looking into a dimension that's not right in front of us and a possibility that's not in front of us. But unhealed Gemini can be really mean, can be completely two-faced, can say one thing and actually mean another, can have duality even within their inflection. Like it sounds like they're saying something really nice, but they're really kind of saying something mean. Um, and that's tough. Or they're nice to your face and mean behind your back, and until you push them too far, and then they go a little nutso, and you're like, oh boy. Somebody I met was like, it's not me, I'm good. By the way, guys, I am a healed Gemini.
Yes, queen, sing it.
But somebody I met was like, yeah, all Geminis are just a little bipolar. I'm like, what? No, fair, but fine. Also, maybe. But yeah, just keep that in mind. It's not about, both sides are true from that perspective, and that there are multiple perspectives, and that's really what Gemini is getting at.
Yeah, and I do want to say, just with air, we've talked about the playfulness, is particularly with Gemini, which is very playful and interest based, but all air is does have that playfulness and that like up, that bounding bounciness you can find, which is can be just so lovely.
Hey friends, it's Jayanne here. If you have been feeling really stressed out about the world lately, you are not alone. There's been enough crazy and fear flying around the internet that even I've been knocked off my rocker sometimes. But it's times like these that I'm really grateful for the tools I have to regulate my nervous system. I developed these tools for myself when I was going through the thick of it. My babies were young and I had a ton of repressed anger. And these tools helped me through other stressful times, including negotiating my own divorce, having difficult money conversations, and of course, the whole COVID experience. And I've put all these tools in a method I call the Authentic Self-Care Method. This is different than other self-care programs because it is a framework for you to find your special sauce when it comes to self-care. And let me tell you a secret. Step one is not take a bath, get a haircut, or go to the gym. Step one is regulate your nervous system. And that's exactly what we do inside the 3-in-1 membership. This powerful program includes focused journals and meditations you can do in just a few minutes, like the fight or flight session, the hippocampus session, which rewrites your ability to see new possibilities, and the vagus nerve session, which helps you regulate your whole body in a crisis. Using these tools, members have reported feeling more empowered, more expansive, and many experience relief from actual physical pain, all for less than $2 a day. So join the 3-in-1 membership now so you can learn these tools today. The world is not going to become less crazy. The only thing you can control is how you respond to it. The 3-in-1 membership will help you do that, so click the link in the show notes to enroll today.
I can't believe it. We made it to water. Holy crap. Here we are. The last set of three, it's going to be Cancer and then Scorpio and then Pisces. So why don't we start with Cancer as the cardinal sign? I'll let Kaylee go first.
All right. So Cancer, as Julie said, it's a cardinal sign, cardinal water. There's a very what's the word I'm looking for? There can be a community feel to Cancer, but there's also kind of a seclusion and a protection kind of energy. Like people talk about it being the mother energy of the zodiac, and there's a lot of truth to that, in that it can be very nurturing and very nourishing, but it's also like uh gonna defend itself and defend its loved ones like a crab. Like it's gonna come at you. The symbol associated with Cancer is very informative. If you learn about crabs and how they behave, um and that connection to the moon as well, with the moon traditionally and in modern rulership being the ruler of Cancer, there's this connection to emotion and to cycles that comes into play. So yeah, Cancer energy can seem very emotional, but also very intuitive and connected to lots of different things. Who wants to speak next about Cancer?
I don't know if you read the Book of Water, but if you just read the first chapter of the Book of Water, by Stephen Forrest. It is so informative and it changed everything because I had a hard time relating to Cancer specifically. Like, yeah, it's watery, whatever, but it was also more like a fish becoming aware of water kind of thing. And so for the way that Stephen Forrest is just like a words genius, but the way that he put it is like the crab grows inside the shell and it becomes it's like cozy and hidden, and it grows inside the shell, and then it becomes too big for the shell, has to shed it, but then it's very vulnerable and has to hide again until it can regrow the shell. And that was like interesting to me, just really really interesting. But Cancer is typically known as a healer, and the mother, and like I think of it as like brooks and streams and lakes, whereas Scorpio is more like deep ocean and Pisces is like the mist, right? But there's just something else. Oh, like comfort, comfort. Like it doesn't matter if it's pretty, it's gotta be cozy. Like biscuits and gravy is such a Cancerian breakfast. Cozy socks, which I think is hilarious to me too, because it's a summer sign. So it's like I want to be indoors with like lots of blankets, but in the summer it really gets I don't know how that works, but it's exactly what they need. Um yeah. So those are my thoughts on Cancer. I have a grand water trine, so I have a lot to say about water, but I'll keep it short.
Yeah, I want to add with Cancer, it's very ancestral. It's carrying a lot that the ancestors gave, right? It's that mother line coming down to all of us, and just like all water signs, it's usually very intuitive, spiritual, and connection. And water has that special ability to like connect everything together, which we'll talk about more with Pisces. But I would say, as far as Cancer, I do it's funny that you said Cancer is rivers and lakes, and I totally see that. I often explain Cancer as the ocean in the way that like the ocean can be so nurturing, and Cancer is so nurturing. Like it can nurture people, and it loves to love on people, and it wants them to succeed, and it does it in the same way, in like a mom way. Right? Like, oh, and like I noticed that about myself as a Cancer is like when I'm excited or happy for someone, like I have to hug them or like pat them on the back or like, oh, you're so great. Yay, you're doing it. Like I have this way of, and I would often get called in high school the like, oh, you're the mom of the group or whatever. So it does in that sense, as a mother, it does have leadership capabilities, especially also as a cardinal sign. It's still a doer and a starter. And so it does have that nurturing capacity of the ocean and that deep creativity as it brings life together. If you think about the ocean brings so many organisms, or even a lake or stream or river always brings life with it. But the ocean also can get pissed, and it can rage like crazy. And you can be out on the ocean, and like 1 minute it's calm seas, and the next minute it's like, we're all gonna die and get thrown and get drowned and thrown overboard. And I think Cancer can do that. It does have this tendency to can wash over things, can take over, can want to control in that same way. So that is something to look out for as well as that. So let's if anyone has anything else to say about Cancer, looks good. Let's move on to Scorpio, which I love Scorpio. I love me some Scorpio, but some people don't.
I love Scorpio too, and which is odd because typically Gemini and Scorpio don't work well together. But what I love about Scorpio is it's like the shining hallmark of dramatic transformation, just making these wild changes in your life and like being able to come through the fire and come out the other side, being able to completely change into something else and come out the other side even stronger or better than you were before.
I love that so much. And that is a huge part of Scorpio energy, is that like um that transformation, that death and rebirth energy. And Scorpio has a depth and an intensity to it, but also a vulnerability. Um and if Scorpio energy, or a person who has a lot of Scorpio energy, is vulnerable with you, that's a big deal because you have to earn it. You have to prove that you can handle their vulnerability. Because Scorpio, kind of like Cancer, it does want to protect itself. But if it feels safe to be vulnerable, it will go to the depths. And it doesn't even have to feel safe to go to your depths with you. If you want to go to the depths, your own depths with Scorpio energy, it's like, yeah, let's do it. We'll go so deep down and the pressure will be intense and we're going to do it. Because Scorpio energy is kind of like, in some ways, not afraid of anything because it's like, oh, I'll just come back. Like I'll die and I'll come back. But it's also, there can be a deep terror for Scorpio energy. It's kind of two sides of the coin, but not in the way that Gemini energy is. And there's something else I was going to say, but it's fallen out of my head. So I want Julie to go ahead. And if it comes back to me, I'll share.
Well, I think that's the same reason that Scorpio is always associated with sexuality, and sex is like that deep intensity and going there and the intimacy being very important to it. That's also why Scorpios tend to be very good researchers. They're always looking into things. They want to go deeper and deeper. They get really interested in intense subjects. I find that like Scorpios are often drawn to like true crime and like getting to the bottom of the deep dark mystery, as well as esoteric topics like we're talking about. That's quite common. But all of this, also this fixed energy of Scorpio lends it to be one of the most loyal signs. It's very loyal. It can be so loyal to its partner, to whoever it is who, has decided is worthy of that like loyalty. It will be, loyalty to a detriment sometimes. But I do think the reason that people struggle with Scorpio is is like one, that privacy aspect can be really annoying, like shielding everything, trying to be mysterious, like trying to go under, that current, and that if you betray them, particularly because they're so loyal, they are the scorpion and they will sting you right where it hurts. Like if a fire sign is mad at you, it's like whatever, it's fire, it will burn you, and like, so say la vie, it'll be big, it'll be one big burst. If a water sign is angry with you, you better watch. And particularly Scorpio, like it's going to tear apart your soul. Like when it says the thing that it says, like it will go deep and like penetrate down to the depths. So I think that's part of the reason like people that like Scorpio gets a bad rap. And because of that, like sensuality, sexy piece, sometimes it gets looked down on it as well.
I find that people with Scorpio rising, or if they have Pluto conjunct their rising sign, they're often like, you love them or you hate them. You're either ready for them or you're not. And you can't really, and you guys are both Scorpio rising, so this is, correct me if I'm wrong, but um, if you're either ready, because what happens when you meet a Scorpio rising is that you see yourself for all of your shadow too, and you go, am I ready to deal with that? No, I'm not going to talk to this person, and I'm going to go over here with this fun Leo rising, and we're going to talk, or whatever it is.
Oh, totally. And I think Jan and I have talked about this, and I think there are some Scorpio placements that are more private. Scorpio is not like very it doesn't love being in the first house. It's not its like most favorite, or like it doesn't love the rising being there because it wants to be so private, but it's showing to everybody, which often ends up in like Scorpio risings like saying more than they want to say. They're like, oh no, I said that thing and I can't, like that was but I said it anyway.
Vulnerability hangover.
Yes, vulnerability hangover, and like we're just going to talk about all the taboo stuff. It's out in the open. We can't help it. And I think particularly, I say this for me because I've got Pluto there, but Pluto trines my Mercury in the first house, right? And that's where my rising is. So particularly, I just like I can't get out of it. Like I try not to be taboo, and like bad things happen when I try not to be.
I have a Scorpio midheaven, and you have to think about the jobs I've had. I was killing flies. I worked for an insurance company, which is, once again, death, taxes, insurance. I sell yoni eggs. Like these are all scorpionic themes. Oh, and I'm always transforming my career. Always. I cannot be that person who's like, yeah, this is my job I have for 30 years. But every time I evolve my career, I'm still financially ahead of where I was before I went through the evolution, right? So it's not like this weird thing of like, oh, I'm a hippie just sort of bumming it on the streets, right? It's this movement. So anyways, that's my
Well, and now, Jan, you're the host of this podcast, which, if nothing, is like one of the most taboo and hidden subjects
you're
that has
right.
ever been that we're bringing to light, right? Like we were literally bringing the hidden to light. So I love that, Scorpio in the midheaven. That's like delicious to
So
me.
true. And it was weird. It's the weird thing you say is like, this is the most obvious topic to talk about. Obviously, we need to talk about this. Why wouldn't we? But it's just because it's obvious because it's my midheaven. And yeah, I'm going to talk about taboo topics. Here we go. I love this. I love this. I love hanging out with you guys. All right, let's do our last sign. And then we can let these lovely people enjoy their lives in a different way. In a different way than what they're doing right now. The last sign is Pisces. What do we have to say about Pisces?
I think Kaylee Rose has to go first because she's our resident
100%.
double, our double Pisces.
Double Pisces.
Okay. So where Aries is like the start of the start, it begins the zodiac. It's got to be the beginning. Pisces is the end. It's the wrapping up of all of it. It is the mutable, like the most mutable sign in some ways, because of that. And like in a sense, it has a little bit of everything that came before it in it, which is part of why it can feel so nebulous and like, what exactly is it? Like, what? Who are you? What is going on? Which can be incredibly annoying to some people for sure, because it's like, I can't grasp who you are or what you're doing. But that's also part of why Pisces energy can be so just loving, just connected to everything. And like, of course, I love everyone and everything because I'm connected to everyone and everything. And that can kind of mean losing yourself sometimes with that boundary issue that can come up. But it also means that that it's a little bit like Gemini in that it can understand pretty much anyone um, on at least an emotional level. Um, and with that nebulousness, the combination of like water and mutability, there is a lot of emotion for sure. But there can be kind of this connection to the beyond as well, like to things that just can't be seen and can't quite be touched. It is like the mist, like you try to grab it and you can't, like you kind of feel it, but you also kind of don't. And then it's like gone. So there's a connection to matters of spirituality because of that. The things that you can't quite touch, but somehow you feel anyway. Um, yeah, sometimes I feel like I can't talk about Pisces because I'm like, I'm the fish in the water who doesn't always know that water exists because I'm always in it.
Yeah. I think you went through every like high point there. And in my mind, Pisces also is the veil, right? Like we talk about like being beyond the veil or whatever, or the veil being thing, but like Pisces, I feel like is the veil. And so it's very hard to tell what's the difference between reality on the 3D plane and what's spirituality, right? There's a depth perception issue, I think, with that. And along with that is Pisces is very much focused on unconditional love, like loving without conditions, like give you the shirt off my back kind of people. And in the moment they can get very caught up in that of like, I'm just going to be here with you and we're going to talk about your whole life and I don't care how long it takes, I want to hear all about it. It's like Pisces is the most empath you can find in the whole zodiac. It's just like, I am going to envelop you with my love. Not everybody receives that very well, unfortunately. um but yeah, they're not only rooting for the underdog, they're just like feeling the feelings they would have. Like putting yourself in someone else's shoes is standard,
Yeah.
is the is like I don't even know where my own shoes are kind of thing. It is everyone else's shoes are where my feet belong. Which is really hard with boundaries because then you start to lose, like Kaylee said, who you are. So done a lot of work on Pisces.
I was laughing while you were talking because when you were saying like putting yourself in someone else's shoes, like my husband teases me sometimes because sometimes there are certain things I can't watch because I see it and it becomes real. And then I have the emotions associated as if it were real. And it's like I'm sobbing, or I'll read something that happened in the news, somebody's child dying or some other thing happening. And I feel the emotion coming up in my body as if it happened to me. And sometimes that's exhausting. And so sometimes I do have to like pull some boundary skills from other areas to be like, okay, no, like I can feel love for the people who are in that experience and I can feel sadness, but it does not have to be my experience and my sadness. So yeah, that's a very Piscean thing.
Yeah, and I was gonna say just recently, like a couple days ago, Kaylee and I were like sending voice messages back and forth as we often do. And this thing had happened in her life, and she kept being like, I feel like they're the one who did the wrong thing, but like maybe I should apologize anyway. Like maybe I should send this apology. Maybe I should. And I was like, Kaylee, no, don't do the like you don't need to. It is not necessary for you to do that thing. You've already done the thing, and so what? And because Pisces does that, right? Pisces will literally see like, oh, they did do the wrong thing, but maybe I should just like make it clear I don't have any bad feelings. I'm okay. I'm like I'm still like love them and stuff. And it's like it's okay. It's okay. It's all right. It's okay if they don't think you love them. And sometimes it's hard for them to see. But I did want to say Pisces also, we kind of touched on this, but it sees the whole picture, right? It paints the whole picture. Everything is connected to Pisces. There are no divisions, and that's a piece of it. But also because of that, Pisces is very artistic in nature, often drawn to art, is very artsy, can see the deep depth of these art images and like bring everything together. And so when Pisces creates these beautiful things, people will be like, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Like, what does it mean? Like to them, they're looking at it and they can't see the whole picture, but Pisces is like, well, yeah, I just pulled together like 5 timelines and like 5 different things from all over these places and like placed them together, in this beautiful arrangement. So it does have this lovely artistry and softness. And I love I can relax because Pisces is my 5th house. And so it allows me to feel like joy and like relaxing, and like I like fully enjoy that. The other thing but what I do want to say about this is, oh, dang it, I brought it up there's a real reason for this. uh the so and Pisces, and it does the thing. And there, oh my gosh, what was I gonna say about it? There was no, it was about the 5th house and about, but no, there was a reason I was bringing up. It's my that's what it was. Okay, cut all this out in post. The
Sure.
Pisces, or
not.
I'll cut it. I'll cut it all out. The point is, so Pisces is my 5th house, which is often why I can feel like relaxed around Pisces and joyful. But Pisces does have this little nerdy streak. It like loves the nerdy things. It does tend to like, because it's fantasy and very fantasy-esque and very dreamy and very artsy, it has this like I love Lord of the Rings vibe. Like I love D&D, and I love
Hey,
to like
quit calling me out. I would totally go LARPing. Like I would do it. If anyone doesn't know what that is, live action role playing, like I would dress up and go do the thing. Like I would do that.
Well, and I was gonna say, because it's my 5th house, like I love that stuff. Like I love the nerdy stuff too. Like the nerdy things are fun to me. It's like so fun to like go into this fantasy realm. And Pisces is that like lovely, like fantasy fun thing.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about that, at least as somebody who has a lot of Piscean energy, it's like, no, fantasy is also somehow reality. Like I have to figure out, like, okay, the line between fantasy and reality isn't a line. It's kind of this like gradation of gradual changing. And I think that's part of why Pisces energy can be so like hopeful and altruistic and sometimes seems very naive, because it's like, no, but really, actually, that thing that you think is impossible, it's actually possible. Like, it's real. You just have to. And then they don't have the words for it because words often escape Pisces energy. But it's like, it is possible. All these things, it's so possible. But then you also have issues where like you can devolve into psychosis because you went too far into fantasy. So it can get very interesting.
Also, being a careful with addiction, I think, to water signs in particular, but particularly Pisces can get into like substances to create fantasy, like you were saying.
Yeah, Cancer is self-deprecating on the low side. Scorpio is broody. Actually, Scorpio is statistically higher rates of depression. Statistically, so just the sun. And Pisces is addictive.
And Delulu.
And Lulu.
Okay, perfect. So, should we just put them in order really quick now that we've gone through the whole zodiac? Let's just talk about, so for people who don't know, we'll just really quick, I'm just going to rattle them off in order. And then if you two want to talk about what, like, why is it important that they're in this order, particular order. So we go Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces.
Well done. Like your ABCs. Bam. Spring, right? Aries, Taurus, Gemini. Did I say that right? I said that right. Aries, Taurus, Gemini. It's spring, right? And it also corresponds, each of the seasons corresponds with a section of our lives, right? So Aries, like, I am here. Taurus, like, oh, there's stuff around. And then Gemini, like, oh, there's people and connecting to that. So that's like the spring in my mind. Anything about that? The spring. Anybody want to talk about the spring now? Okay, we're good. All right. So, and we have the summer, which starts with Cancer and being hot and cozy.
Lots of
Then
family
Leo.
reunions happen in Cancer season.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Cancer, and then you have Leo and Virgo, which again, it's a summer sign, and my mind goes, that's the fall. But it's this coming together and like doing the stuff, right? And like that's the meat and the potatoes of life, right? Like those early adult years of that.
The masculine, right? Like summer is peak masculine season, even though not all of those signs are masculine. But when you think about Cancer and Leo and Virgo, they're very doing oriented, right? Leo is shining and what's shining and happening, and Virgo being serve, 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 get it ready, get it done, and Cancer like birthing things out and being that washing over familial. So it's very much that peak season, and then we go into the fall.
And we go into the fall and we start the fall off with Libra, and then we have Scorpio and Sagittarius. So Libra is like, we're also in the harvest time frame. We talked about that, but when we shift into Scorpio, it is okay, we've kind of processed all our stuff. Now let's go deep dive. And so that's part of like what I think of as midlife, right? When we go through midlife crisis or whatever, we're like doing this deep dive of what is this? What is the meaning of everything? Like, do I need to make a big change in my life? Have I been living my whole life wrong? Do I need to go through this huge transformation? There we go. And then we come out of that and there's this buoyant energy of like, yeah, this is my new thing and I'm really excited about it and you should be excited about it too. And also I'm going to go travel the world, right? Like that's part of our lives for sure. That's the fall. And that's the
There's
fall.
an
That's the autumn.
enlightenment piece with that too. that like you kind of go through this, maybe a dark night of the soul, but maybe not. And then you come into this like new worldview, which Sagittarius has a lot to do with your worldview. And then, yeah, into winter.
Into winter. And we start the winter off with Capricorn. And everybody thinks that, like, oh, the new year should be there, which maybe it should, maybe it shouldn't, but it's a great time to plan for things. And you've come out of this, like, enlightenment period. And then it's like, well, maybe I just need to be serious. And honestly, like, as far as the lifetime piece goes, I feel like it's just, I'm too tired to be as buoyant as I was being. And it's now time for me to solidify some things that I'm going to stake my claim on, and I'm going to like fully say like this is my thing, and I'm done with, whatever frivolities that were happening before.
Yeah. And then you move
Yeah.
into like, I'm giving of my lifetime, I'm giving of my wisdom to those around me. And you can do with it what you want, because I don't care if you
Yeah.
like what I have to say anymore.
I don't care. Yes. I love that.
Which is very like Aquarius seeming. But then we get to like the Pisces, like winter heading into spring. So it's this idea of like, you're nearing the end of your life, the veil is thinning. Maybe you've got feet in both worlds. And there's this perspective that you don't get any other time of life. Or at least not to the same extent, that comes as you are transitioning into your next existence, whatever you believe that may be.
Yeah, and I think that with the rolling of this, the way they roll together is so beautiful, because as you study it, as we've been talking about it, right, it applies to your life. It applies, and we'll get more into this when we do our episode on houses and how they build and build and build on each other. But each sign builds on the next sign and shifts. But they also build in that every season you get a cardinal fixed sign and a mutable, and you also get we have this roll as we go further where you get fire, earth, air, water, fire, earth, air, water, and they just keep rolling around. And so with each of those seasons, you get to experience a new element, and of the four elements, a new kind of modality and a new kind of energy that comes with that. And that beautiful rolling is the seasons of life. It is what we're here to do, here to experience the wheel and the wheel of the year over and over and over again, which is why I love them so much. I love our celebration so much of the wheel of the year.
And remember, it's a circle, right? So you go through this Piscean phase, and then you get reborn. The dawn happens again, and it's all a circle. That's why it's the wheel of the year, like Julie said. Beautiful. All right. Any parting words that of wisdom about the signs that you guys want to share before we sign off?
Just that if it feels overwhelming, like as I said, I believe in the last episode, if it feels overwhelming, start with one thing and recognize that it doesn't have to come all at once. And if it does come pretty quickly, awesome. And if it doesn't, awesome. Like the timing will be perfect for you.
Yeah, and I was going to say, inevitably, there's going to be somebody listening to this that's going to say, well, I'm a Leo and I'm not like that. Or like, I'm a, whatever, I'm a Sagittarius, I'm not like that. Or I'm a Virgo. And of course, you are more, like I said at the beginning, every one of us has every single kind of this energy in our chart. Everybody has a little piece of everything. And if you did not jive with everything that we said about your particular sign or signs, one, I think that's a good little place. If it bugged you, it's a good little place to do some shadow work. Always gonna do a plug for some shadow work. And two, you're, as we're trying to help you build and understand this knowledge, you are more than one sign, right? You are more than one piece, and you have pieces from all these different ones. And of course, like your big three are the meat and potatoes of your personality, but they're just three parts. They're just three planets, in your overarch. Like there's so much more to you. You're so much more complex. And so just remember that, like, we are not trying to like I do want to say, like, lots of times there's a stereotype for a reason because it's common. Like there's a commonality, like there are common ways that things show up. But obviously, as you learn the signs more and you learn the elements more, you will see that you will understand the pure energy of it and you will see how this is showing up for you, even if it's not showing up in the common or stereotypical manner.
And I just want to add to that, like, let's just take your sun, moon, and rising, those pieces that are a big part of your personality. Even those have nuance, because whether you have a day chart or a night chart is going to influence how your sun sign and your moon sign express. What degree of the sign your rising is at has an impact on how that expresses. And then there's the relationships between planets. Like, just because you don't fit what we've described for, say, for your sun sign or your moon sign, it doesn't mean there isn't some validity there. It means that you are more complex and there are more layers, and you can't take any one piece and know the whole of it.
I love it. I love it so much. Everything you guys said, I agree with. So I don't think I can say anything more that would be even quite as magical as what you guys said. So thank you so much. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day, and we will see you next week. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. Please make sure to give us a 5-star rating wherever you are listening and share with someone you know. See you next week.